Everyone deserves tea, but if you're a rebel like me, then you probably put coffee in this cup. Sorry. And welcome back to another Sit Down Sunday, the day of the week where we take a break from talking about all the geeky and nerdy stuff and we have a more deep conversation. Today I wanted to have a discussion on fan culture, and particularly I wanted to tackle the question of fan entitlement. Is it killing fandoms? About 2 weeks ago there was a very widespread rumor that went around that at a Wizard World convention that Chris Evans was at, that a fan ran up to him, tried to kiss him, and it caused him to have a panic attack. This rumor went pretty viral. It hit a lot of websites. However, it did prove to be untrue by Chris Evans. He tweeted about it, dispelling the rumor, so this was not something that actually happened. However, it has sparked a lot of conversation in the community, which I think is a really good thing. Because what I found to be most striking about this rumor was that it was able to go so widespread because nobody had trouble imagining that it was a thing a fan would do. Now, I don't want anybody leaving this video thinking Kristen's anti-fandom, because I'm not. I'm part of plenty of fandoms. I think fandoms can achieve amazing things when they work together and they provide community for people that don't feel like they have one. However, I do think it's really important that we discuss some of the bad things happening in fandoms, the things that are dragging fandoms down. Because there's a lot of groupthink that happens in fandoms where one person has an idea and they state it and a whole bunch of people tackle onto it, and that can be great, but it also can be really bad. So this video is probably going to be a little long because there are two major parts that I want to talk about of this whole fan entitlement issue. Part one of this video is that we don't have a contract with the creators whose art we take in. We don't. We may feel like we do, but we don't. birthmoviesdeath.com did a really amazing article on this issue that I will have in the bottom bar below. Something that they said that really stood out to me was it's all about demanding what you want out of the story, believing that the story should be tailored to your individual needs, not the expression of the creators. And that really got me thinking, because obviously we have all had a moment from a TV show, a book, a movie that we have watched where something has not gone the way that we want and we've been like, no, why? But let's imagine for a moment a universe in which those creators listened to us and were like, oh no, never mind, I'm gonna make exactly what you want to happen. Sounds great in theory, but honestly, what fun is that? If they followed the exact path of what you wanted to happen, wouldn't that start to become really uninteresting? You would no longer be surprised or engaged in any sort of new way. This is actually part of the reason why I have had, even before I started watching it, so much respect for Game of Thrones, because that show does absolutely no fan pandering. When the fandom takes to Tumblr or Twitter in an uproar, George R.R. Martin and the creators of the show don't apologize. They're respectful, but they don't apologize because they should never have to. Giving in to the uproar or the plot line of what everybody really wants to happen would kind of be selling out. It wouldn't be staying true to their work. I mean, if their work happens to match what you want to happen, that's amazing, but they shouldn't be doing anything just for the sake of the fan. That would just be bad storytelling, and then Game of Thrones wouldn't be as interesting as it is. And when I say this, I'm not discouraging writers from taking in some respectful feedback from their fans or from fans from giving respectful feedback. But when you cross the line of being personally offended by the work that a creator has given you, that's a big problem. And the next time that you complain about there being a lack of originality in TV shows, movies, and books, just remember that you're part of the problem because you're not letting creators create. Also, as a side note, whenever you tweet something to a creator, remember that there is actually a person on the other end of that Twitter. Like, they might read what you say and take it personally or no longer like you as a fan, and they have the total right to do so. Just because you can't see them over the interwebs doesn't mean they don't exist. And then don't be mad when they don't want to create for you anymore. And the second part of this video, I want to talk about crossing the line at conventions or when you meet a person that you love IRL. As I said at the beginning of this video was inspired by the Chris Evans rumor. However, this has been a topic on my mind for a long time because I am a convention goer. I'm sad to say that I have personally seen a lot of disrespect happen at conventions or on the street to actors, writers, directors, producers, the whole slew of them. The biggest personal example I can give is actually at the stage door for How to Succeed in Business Without really trying when Darren Criss was the lead. This was at like the height of Darren Criss's Glee fame, so most of the audience members at How to Succeed were part of the Glee fandom or the Star Kid fandom, so a lot of people went there with the expectation that they would meet Darren Criss at the stage door, which by the way isn't a thing. Signing up for a Broadway show doesn't mean you get a meet and greet. If it happens, it's great, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Carrie Fletcher made an amazing video on that this week that I highly suggest you go and check out. So after the show, my mom, my sister, and I went up, and as they do outside of most Broadway shows now, they had these metal barricades up, and we were lucky enough to gain a spot that was like in the second row of the barricade. So literally like, here's the barricade, here's a little row of people, and we were right behind, which usually is a killer spot where if the people come out, you are probably gonna get an autograph. It was the dead of winter, like so cold, but everybody was out there excited to meet Darren because he had been coming out for the stage door, and everyone was getting amped up. We're waiting, and then finally we see a security guy come out the door. Darren's behind them, everyone screams, and the 40 or 50 people that were behind Jenna, my mom, and I pushed all forward, pushing the metal barricade down. Security flips out, Darren looks spooked, and that's understandable because a metal barricade went flying down because the people in back of us couldn't keep their shit together. That is not acceptable fan behavior. Skipping the fact that Jenna, my mom, and I were super bummed because Darren kind of quickly moved past our section, which I would too, not blaming him. Taking out that disappointment factor, we are so lucky that nobody got hurt, that nobody got trampled in that moment, that the metal barricade didn't hurt anybody. I don't care if Darren Criss or whoever it may be is your everything and you've traveled halfway around the world to meet this person. That is not acceptable behavior. It's not acceptable human behavior. And I have seen and heard of similar situations happening at conventions before. I have also heard horrific stories of things that people have done in autograph or photo op sessions at conventions. And I feel like this is particularly a big problem right now. Please know that just because you're paying for an autograph or a photo doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. You don't suddenly have permission to touch that person inappropriately or say things to them that might make them feel uncomfortable. Photo ops can be really cool, and if you have an idea for a really outrageous pose, that's fine, but you have to ask that person first. They might say yes, and then you might end up with an awesome photo that's BuzzFeed worthy and goes viral. But more importantly, they might say no. While that sucks to hear, you have to give them the opportunity to politely say no. I get frustrated as a cosplayer when photographers and people don't give me the opportunity to say no. But honestly, convention etiquette is a video for a whole other day. We need a whole lot of time to talk about that. The bottom line is that these people don't owe you anything past what you have paid them for. And while some guests at conventions like John Barrowman may be comfortable with doing crazy and outrageous things, some other guests just might not be, and that doesn't make them rude or ungrateful. We expect a lot out of these people these days, and at the end of the day, they are just people. And unfortunately right now, I just feel like fandoms aren't saying enough about it, discussing it enough, or discouraging this sort of behavior. I feel like these days when conventions are over, fandoms are just anxiously waiting to hear the crazy fan encounter that somebody had with their favorite person, or the coolest photo op picture. And while that's all well and good and fun, and I know it doesn't come from a bad place, we need to make sure that we're discouraging these self-serving interactions and making sure that we're making every interaction a positive one. When you do a photo op or an autograph session, you're not the only one involved in that. The other person is also an active participant. And those are just some thoughts that I have on the whole fan entitlement issue. I don't want it to kill fandoms, but right now it seems like a big old batch of poison in some fandoms. And again, not all fandoms, just some. I know that this is a small section, but I don't want it to grow, you know? I think it's an important discussion to have, and if you agree, sharing this video would mean a lot. Let's talk about it with one another. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment telling me what you're feeling. If you didn't catch last week's Sit Down Sunday, you can watch it right here. And I also wanted to quickly promote my Friday video, which was my Polka Bumps cosplay group, mainly because I just think they're so awesome, and it's like a minute long, so you should go and check it out. If you want to find me on other social media, maybe see some of my cosplay stuff, here is all of my information, and hitting that subscribe button helps me out a lot. Do it. And otherwise, I love you beans, and I'm giving you a virtual hug. I will see you in my next video. Bye!